You are listening to Able Radio, simplifying productivity for small business owners everywhere. If you are looking for 1% improvements that add up to big results, this is the place for you. Every week, we learn about simple systems and tools that will help you build the business and life you've always wanted. Now here's your host, Zachary Sexton.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Able Business Radio. On today's show, we are going to talk about something that, as entrepreneurs, I think we all struggle with, and that is hiring. Specifically, hiring remote workers. On episode 27 with Mad Singers, we talked about doing this from an international point of view, hiring a virtual assistant from the Philippines. Lesley Pyle helps people from the other side of the globe. She's the founder of HireMyMom.com, which is a well-established agency that helps US-based stay-at-home moms connect with businesses that need them. On this episode, you are going to learn about some job posting tips, the benefits of hiring remote, benefits of hiring domestic, and some suggestions for tools and resources to help make that remote work easy. We'll jump right in with Lesley's answer to my question, why should somebody hire a mom? Enjoy.
Well, from my own experience and through my own work experience, as well as the people I know and the people I work with, I will tell you that there are so many moms like myself who, went on, got the degrees, got the experience, but once they had kids, things kind of shift. And working, 40 to 50 hours outside of the home is really challenging when you've got kids and you've got, sports and extracurricular and meals and laundry. So working from home is golden for moms because you can multitask. I can go put in a load of laundry in between, tasks, or I can put something in the crock pot, or I can run up to the school and take my daughter lunch. Or, those sorts of things are so important and so needed by so many moms who are looking for that flexibility. And like myself, many of them are willing to take a pay cut in order to have that flexibility, which is a great advantage for businesses like yourself who are probably looking to hire someone without paying a ton of money. But I don't recommend trying to get a bargain, to pay these moms reasonable, but to also know that you're not having to pay them a full-time salary or benefits or as much as they would be making in a traditional office setting. So from everything I've seen and learned in the 21 years I've been doing this, it really is a win-win for both the moms and the businesses who employ them.
How does Hire My Mom work? First off, you go to the website and then what happens?
So you go to the website and it's pretty simple. We have a login for posting jobs and then we have a login for people looking for jobs. And so as a business, you would click on post job and then you would just complete the form there with your business information. And once you do that, you're able to post a job. And once you post a job, it goes through our review process because we do our very best to not allow anything that's not 100% legitimate. So we, run them through the Better Business Bureau's rip-off report and some other websites to make sure that it's a legitimate company and do as best we can to protect these moms from any kind of scams out there. And so the approval process is usually done, within a couple of hours, and then the job goes live. Once it goes live, then the moms can apply directly to you by sending their resume and cover letter. So you'll get an email saying that, this person has applied for the job, this person has applied. So you're able to log in and review that information and set up interviews with whoever you'd like. And so the process from that point on is just between you and the applicants. We don't earn a percentage like a lot of these freelance websites. So if you're going to pay your virtual assistant $15 an hour, they're going to make that $15 an hour. They're not going to have to share any of that with us.
Do you have any sort of vetting for the moms that you have on your site?
No, our site is pretty much set up just like the traditional work world. So if you post a job online, then you would interview them, ask for references, just like you would in a traditional job. And the reason we don't vet is because we try to keep our cost very low. Businesses post jobs for free, so there's no cost to employers. And then the moms pay a very minimal $30 a quarter to be a member. So in order to have a vetting process, you can imagine the time and resources that would go into interviewing and vetting each of these ladies. So we kind of leave that up to the employers since they can use our service for free.
And how many moms are available right now if I wanted to go on there and hire a mom?
Right. We typically have between 400 and 600 current members at any time. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to get 400 resumes because, number one, not all of them are currently seeking a job. They might already have a full load, so they're still a member. They're just not seeking. Or you might be looking for a technical virtual assistant, and maybe only 10% of our moms have that expertise. So you're not going to come, being bombarded, which you would with a lot of the bigger websites. You don't get bombarded. I think that's one of the things that employers really like about our site too, because it's very easy to manage your own hiring process because we are more of a boutique website and we're not one of these big, huge, monster.com type recruiting sites.
That was a benefit, I would say, when I helped a friend of mine hire somebody on Hire My Mom. The reason he went through your site is he wanted somebody local, or not necessarily local, but somewhere in the United States.
Right.
And that was really important for him because time zone, he wanted to have a very good command of the English language because writing and responding to potential customers and clients was something that he was going to have her do, as well as vetting work that he put out, just kind of editing his content. And I'd say the first time around, we probably priced a little too low for the job. I think we said $15 to $20 an hour for this type of work, and got a little bit of crickets. Mm-hmm. So I emailed you, and you're like, maybe up the price a little bit. And I think then we went from $20 to $30 an hour. We got about 5 or 6 applicants, and oh my God, these applicants were outstanding. There was this one woman from California that was part of the original team that started the Apple stores.
Oh, wow.
So it was 4 or 5 people, and she was literally working with Steve Jobs on creating that first Apple store. And I was just like, how that is. I stopped the interview process. I was doing a little pre-interview for him. I stopped the process and just started asking her questions, and she had the same story as you. She's like, well, I wanted to have start a family, and I couldn't work 80 hours a week.
Right.
So she had taken some time off, and she was just getting back into the workforce after 2 or 3 years off with her kid was at an age where she felt like she could start to take on 15 to 20 hours of work a week with somebody. So the talent is high, and I think you're right when it comes to that flexibility is something that it seems like the high talent is wanting
right.
and needing.
Yes.
Because they want to be there for their family. They want to be there, be a part of raising their kids, and they can't do that if they have to work 40 plus hours a week and plus commute, plus getting ready for work and all the other things that go to the traditional 9 to 5.
Right.
So I would agree. I didn't know the number. I was actually really curious, but only getting less than 10 applications makes things a little bit less overwhelming. Actually, that kind of leads to another good question. Do you have any tips for people posting jobs besides making sure you post a fair wage?
Right. And that is important. I mean, there are people that we don't allow any jobs that are less than $10 an hour, but you found that there's not, I mean, the more highly skilled they are, obviously, the more money they command. But, there are a few here and there that will take the $10 to $15 an hour if they're just starting out and they don't have a ton of experience. So, kind of keep that in mind if you have a very low budget, but you'll definitely get a higher quality and someone that actually can contribute to your business if you're willing to pay in that $20 to $30 an hour. But yes, I definitely have recommendations because sometimes we get jobs that come through and it's like one sentence. I need a virtual assistant. And I'm like, are you kidding me? That doesn't really tell the applicants anything about what you need. So it's real important to spend some time thinking, what exactly do I need this person to do? Do I need them to use certain apps or certain programs? Do I need them to be available at certain times of the day? Do I need them to be in a certain time zone or in a certain area? Just think through the process as best you can. And it doesn't have to be completely 100% everything you need, but it needs to give the applicants a good understanding of what they would be doing. And if they're not only qualified, but does that fit what they're looking for? And it'll save both of you a ton of time if you're very thorough in your job description, very clear. What are your expectations? Do you have pet peeves? Do you not want, a dog barking if you call them? Whatever it might be. Just be as clear as you can be. And also make sure you do put, a range of pay, because again, somebody might be willing to work for $10 or $15 an hour, and someone else might be looking for the 20 to 30. So I think the clearer and more concise you can be and thorough, the better your experience is going to be, and the better candidates that you will be able to find and employ.
Dog haters, come on! You can have some yips in the background.
I've got 2 labs in the other room, so hopefully they don't start barking now that I said that.
That's good. I would have never thought of pet peeves as a good thing to put on the resume. And it's just like hiring anybody else. You should have some sort of process for what you're looking for, what you need, an interview process, especially since you're so hands off with it. Mm-hmm. It's like, hey, this is a place where you can come, and we've got this group of talent here, and you can select from them and make it work on your own.
Yes.
And what are some areas?
I was going to say, go ahead. I also highly recommend doing Skype interviews, because it really helps you get a feel for the person when you can actually feel like you're sitting across the desk from them, as well as to call their references. And that's part of doing your own research and your vetting, because even if they have the best resume in the world, that doesn't necessarily always mean that they're going to be a good fit for you for whatever reason.
What are some common examples of jobs that people post on your site?
Probably the most common is the virtual assistant, because almost everybody needs an assistant to help them out with some of the day-to-day tasks that kind of bog us down. I myself have one, and I love it because I can depend on her to do things that I don't have to do day in and day out. But some of the other common ones are bloggers, social media help, website designers, graphic designers, sales, writing, editing, accounting, WordPress, pretty much anything that a small business person needs. You'll see it on our website.
What do you have your virtual assistant do for you?
Well, she is the one who screens all the jobs, does the research, and does as best as she can to make sure that they're all legitimate. She also answers the contact us emails that come through the websites. And anything else that, I send to her or ask her to do to free me up.
Oh, perfect. And what's the story behind this? It's been around since 2007, correct?
That's correct. And as you mentioned earlier, I started my first website when I had my first child. She's 22 now. So about 21 years ago, I started a website back in the ancient days when the internet was brand new. And it was called Home. I still have it, but I do very little with it. It's Home-Based Working Moms. And it was more of a kind of like a chamber of commerce for moms who work at home, just to help us connect, learn from each other, support each other, buy from each other, and that sort of thing. And as working from home became more accepted, because back then I was doing freelance PR and marketing, but I never told people I worked from home, because it was such a, you weren't viewed as professional back then. It was kind of like, you must not really know what you're doing if you work from home. So you kind of never told your clients that you work from home until you got to know them. And but as it became more and more accepted to work from home, I've just constantly talked to moms who didn't want to start a business per se. They just wanted to find work that they could do from home. And so I knew there was a need for these moms that were looking for work, as well as small businesses who were looking to hire people. And so that's where I came up with the idea for Hire My Mom.
And did it start the same way it started now, or did it have a little bit of an evolution as you learned more about the needs of the moms as well as the needs of the business owners?
No, it's pretty much the same idea, the same concept. I've tried to improve the website through the years, and in the process of doing another website to add, even enhance what we've got. So, I'm always taking feedback from our employers and our job seekers on what they would like to see, what improvements and new features, because as we all know, technology is always changing and improving. So the website I had 10 years ago would look, antiquated today.
You mentioned when you started working virtually that there was a stigma
Yes.
with it, and you wouldn't always tell people right away. I feel like that's less so, and it might just be the circles that I swim in. A lot of people do remote work, and but for the mainstream or for just the people in general, what do you wish people knew about virtual work that they don't?
I think, and I think this is changing a lot, that when you work from home, you're doing just as professional of work that you would do in an office. You're just in a different location. So to me, the location has zero impact unless you're somebody that gets distracted easily and can't handle, working in an environment that's not a cubicle. But I think for the most part, I mean, all these big companies, they offer remote work now too. And it's like, anybody that that can work from home, everybody's envious if they can't. Like, I would, even men, if they're not taking care of children, just the ability to have a more flexible schedule. Who doesn't love that?
Yeah, that's the one thing that I get from folks when I tell them that I work from home for the most part is, oh man, how do you stay focused? And it's the people who've just been in traditional jobs and feel like they need to rely on other people to keep them motivated or keep them on point. And I think they'd be surprised that if you have an objective or something to do, definitely there's some skill set involved in not just going on Netflix all day, but
Right.
really, it's if you have something to do, you're right. It is just as easy and capable with our technology that we have to have professional work done, just in a more flexible manner.
Right. And I think, if you're one of these moms and you've been hired, the last thing you want to do is have them think that you're lax or you're not doing your job because, like I said, so many of these people are so grateful to be able to work from home. I think they actually do. And I know there's been studies to prove this. They're actually more productive than people that work in an office setting because they're like, I want to make sure I do a great job. I want to keep this flexible job and I'm going to give it, 110%. That's been my experience. And of course that, there are going to be exceptions to that, but I think that's more true than not.
One of the candidates that I was interviewing was saying exactly that. Is she uses a timer for when she's on the clock, and she stops it every time she's not on the clock. Mm-hmm. So if she's working on something, the timer will be going. If she needs a little bit of a break to go do the laundry or do some dishes or grab some breakfast, she stops that timer. So you like that was her process, right. And I think that would be a good process for many people out there. Is since you're not in the office with them, you can't necessarily be there minding them or paying attention to every single thing that they're doing. So having some sort of system like that would be great. And I got to be honest, like I remember my days back in the offices, and maybe 4 out of the 8 hours were relatively productive. The rest were meetings or lunches or breaks, mm-hmm. or surfing the internet, right. Or all the other things that you do with your day. So you're paying people for that, where with the hire my mom route, you're only paying for the exact hours that she or he or she, well, no, that's always going to be she is doing the work.
Right. And there are apps and websites and programs that you can get that are like time clocks where you can punch in and punch out. So, that's definitely a great tool for people that might be working and doing multitasking like you were talking about, or even if they have more than one client, because some of the employers that post on our website, they may only need a virtual assistant for 5 or 10 hours a week. And whoever they hire may be looking to work 20 or 30 hours a week. So they may actually have, 2 people that they're working for. And so it really is good to be able to clock in and clock out for your various needs, for personal or for your clients.
That was going to be my next question, actually. It was full-time versus part-time versus grow into the work. Do you see any trends on like 5 hours or 10 hours or 40 hours a week being more common?
I would say that the majority of our projects are definitely part-time because a lot of our businesses are entrepreneurs, small business owners, and home business owners. We don't get hardly any like the big corporate job postings. I think they use more of the big job sites. Occasionally we'll get one or two here and there, but ours tend to be the entrepreneurs. And I like that because that's what I am. And it's kind of my world and I understand their needs. And so I would say commonly anywhere from 10 to 20 hours are typical job postings. But like I said, you might find some that are just 5 hours, or even one that's a temporary, like I just need a graphic done. So it's just a one-time project. But typically, most of them are part-time and hourly. Occasionally, you'll get a project based, like I need a WordPress website. How much will you charge? But that's less common.
After working with the hiring industry for so long, what are some things that you've learned? Maybe some roadblocks to look out for when making your first hire. You're a solopreneur, and you could use some help. So you've got a budget for 10 hours a week. What advice would you give them?
I would remind yourself that, since you're not working beside this person, to be very thorough on training them exactly how you want things done. If you're very particular about things, then spend the time through Skype or whatever means you choose to train them exactly on what you want and how you want it done. If you're, very particular about that sort of thing, and to keep the communication open, check in with them at least when you first hire them. I would say check in with them weekly just to see, are there questions? Am I not clear? Can I do anything better? And vice versa, can your virtual assistant or whoever it is you're hiring. And I found that I have another person that I use, and I hired her through my website, and she does a lot of social media for me. And now that she's been plugging along for a couple of years, it's very rare that I have to check in with her because we had that in the beginning where we communicated and talked and learned she learned what I liked and disliked and that sort of thing. So now it's like rarely does she need my input on things. So it's, really nice to be upfront and as thorough as you can in the beginning.
Are there any sort of resources? You mentioned timekeeper apps. Are there any other things like that you'd recommend?
One that a lot of people seem to not know about that I think is a great resource, and it's free, and we all love free, is Score. And you've probably had people recommend it on your podcast before. It stands for Service Corps of Retired Executives. And I've used them myself when I kind of get stuck in my business and I need advice. Just go on the website, they connect you with the person, and you can do Skype or whatever it is, whatever questions that you have on your business, whether it's on growth or selling your business or, website, whatever it might be. That's a great resource. And I also love Haro, Help a Reporter Out, if you're looking for leads on getting publicity for your business and helping your business grow, because they send out leads daily on reporters and website writers and bloggers that are looking for people to interview on different topics. So that's a great way to try to get your name, your business name, your website plugged in whatever media it is that they are working for.
Those are great. I've not heard of Score, so I'm going to have to look into that one. I can always use some expert advice.
I believe their website is score.org.
Okay. And then Haro, I have heard of that one before, and I haven't used it, but that does seem like...
Yeah, they send out a daily email, and you can pick what categories you're interested in, whether it's health and fitness or business and finance, or I don't remember all the categories, but you can refine it to more specific what your industry is.
Perfect. Well, Lesley, is there anything else? Because I feel like I kind of peppered you with questions over the last 20 or so minutes, and maybe there's something I missed. Is there any other questions that you wish I would have asked?
Well, we kind of touched on it, but I didn't get to really expand on the fact that we are primarily for North America. We don't allow people from, like you were saying, the person you have from the Philippines or Vietnam or some of these other countries, because we found that one of the things the employers really like about our site is knowing that they can gear their jobs towards those in North America or in mainly English-speaking countries, because there's so many benefits for that. Obviously, if you're looking for the bargain, then the Philippines is probably going to be the route for you. But just having somebody in or near your time zone, not having language barriers, infrastructure. I've heard so many nightmare stories about internet going down or electricity being out for 2 weeks, 3 weeks in some of these other countries. Also the dependability and the punctualization of some of these people. I know I myself, unknowingly, when I had hired a web firm a few years ago, they subbed a lot of it out to India, and it was extremely difficult to get to be able to communicate with that person and to get him to finish the job that I hired another company here in Texas to do for me. So I think that, depending on what you're looking for and what your needs are, that's kind of an important thing to know about our website.
Perfect. Well, thank you for sharing, Lesley. I've got 2 final questions, the Kaizen questions, so you can always improve after every podcast you listen to.
Yes.
The first one is book.
Mm-hmm.
What's your most influential book and why?
Well, when I was trying to think of that, I had, the first one, this will be a little unconventional for some people in your audience, perhaps, but I'm a believer in, I read the Bible every day, and I go to it for wisdom, for guidance, for understanding, generosity, being others focused. So for me, that's kind of my lifeline across the board, not only for business, but for my family and for my life and for everything. But then for just a traditional book, the one that I most recently read, so that's the one that came to mind, is called Like, Love, and Follow, and it's the Entrepreneur's Guide to Social Media. So if you're looking for some ways to extend or expand your reach on social media, it was sort of a quick read, but it had some great tips in it.
Like, love, and follow. I can always... social media is one of the things that sometimes gets me frustrated.
Yes, I think it does all of us, because even if you spent 24 hours a day on it, it's not enough.
No, well, I see it as a suck at our attention. And so for me, productivity is managing your time, energy, and attention.
Right.
And sometimes social media can be a little bit of a black hole, although it's a great opportunity for business owners to
definitely
show people about themselves. So it's kind of like, it's a double-edged sword.
It is.
I keep on putting Facebook on my phone and taking it back off, putting Twitter on my phone, taking it back off. So it's that book probably has some tips in there I could use.
Yes, definitely.
What about a favorite productivity tool or resource? We've talked about a few tools and resources, and I think on whole, it's not always about the tool. It's about having effective systems, and one of those systems could be tracking time that we talked about before, or hiring somebody who's an executive that's been there before to give you a little bit of advice. Do you have any favorite apps or websites that you would recommend?
I have 2 that I use all the time. And the first one is OneNote, which is very similar to Evernote because it syncs with my iPhone, my iPad, my computer. And so all of those little tidbits of information that you need everywhere you are, I love that one. And I love that you can create all these different notebooks. So I can, Hire My Mom has a folder, and my personal stuff has a folder, and each little kid's soccer practice, everything has, I guess I'm a little type A. I like everything in its place, so I don't have to run around with my head chopped off looking for whatever it is I'm looking for. So I love that app. And then I also love, I think everybody does, this is not a new one, but Hootsuite, because when I do get on and need to schedule, any kind of social media, who has the time to remember the different times of the day you want to send something out? So I love to be able to schedule and plan ahead for that sort of thing.
Lesley, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on. If people want to find out more about you or your site, where should they go?
Okay. Well, our website is hiremymom.com. And so you can go directly there. And then we're also on all those black hole social media places, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and Instagram. And then my personal blog website is just lesliepyle.com.
Perfect. I went to your Facebook page, and there was a few good blog posts on there for the moms out there that were thinking about virtual work. So I read through a couple of those. So it wasn't a complete bad black hole. It wasn't a black hole.
Good.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Look forward to continuing to use and talk about your service in the future.
Thank you. I really appreciate it, Zach. It's been a pleasure.
Have you ever felt stretched too thin, busy but not productive, overwhelmed by all the tasks on your to-do list? Do you want to start taking more control over your time? The fact is, everyone does have a lot of demands on their time, expectations from your family, your friends, your clients, your coworkers, your employees, and even yourself. It all has a tendency to stack up quicker than it can be taken care of. The solution is better planning and prioritization, right? Sure, that would be good, but scientists have found that planning and sequencing your actions is one of the most difficult things we ask our brains to do. This process is made even more difficult by attempting to do it all in your head. That's why most people avoid planning and prioritizing. It drains them mentally, and their brain knows planning is going to drain them, so it comes up with all kinds of reasons to avoid it. I help my clients simplify this process of organizing their work. We're able to reduce the overwhelm and accomplish more by doing one thing: visualizing your work. When you can see your work, you've got awareness. And when you have that awareness, you have choice. Once your work is visualized, it becomes easy and fun to plan your days and your weeks. You'll also be in a better position to see patterns, make improvements, prioritize your best work, and automate, delegate, delete, and defer 80 to 90% of your to-do list. As a result, you'll be doing less work, but accomplishing way more. If you're an entrepreneur that would like a clear mind and a trusted system, I would love to work with you. We've got two choices. First, the free step-by-step program that I have. If you go to zacharysexton.com/choice, because when you visualize your work, you have more awareness, and when you have that awareness, you have choice. zacharysexton.com/choice for that free course. Or if you'd like to book a call now, a 15-minute, no obligation session, you can go to zacharysexton.com/call. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. I look forward to connecting with you next Productive Wednesday.